All right, Shalom. First, I want to say Call Halayim, La Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakaha Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule and teach well, and who have taught us knowledge. Honors and salutations to you, fellow laborers out there doing the work in truth and in sincerity, especially during these times. Shalom to the few Akwaf that believe as well. A hearty shalom to you other laborers and believers that are scattered throughout the face of the earth. Even if you're among the heathen, and even like the heathen, who be the speckled Israelites, to the household of faith, which is the elect, I want to say shalom. Fair use, fair use. My video's not monetized. I don't make any compensation, only for literary, commentary, and educational purposes. So with that, fair use, under the 1976 Fair Use Act, Section 107. So, man, I'm just let this video rip. And I might just entitle it, Babylon needs help, all right, from its allies, because that's exactly what's going on. A lot of people calling this war or comparing it to the Vietnam War on steroids, where, the war that America actually lost. And they don't want to outright acknowledge it publicly, but if you know history, you know about the war. Clearly, they lost. And also Afghanistan, where people talking about how Afghanistan have stood the test of times, and pretty much they was able to eventually cause the American occupation to end, and pretty much reclaim their country as far as those Afghanis. But you have a situation right now going on in Persia, which is known as Iran today, where it's the same situation, but like I said, it's on steroids. And what you see is the State of Israel Defense Forces and Babylon, which is America. You see their military forces get crushed, and it's all due to underestimating the Persian people, right, and its military capability. Right, then the terrain that they're located on, as far as the country of Iran, it's a very hard terrain to even fight on. It's a mountainous region, even. So, yeah, man. Talking about putting boots on the ground, but to no avail. Okay, because first and foremost, all right, Babylon will be destroyed, man. Okay, because the end of Babylon, which is America, is upon it. Okay, so they've entered into this war with Iran or Persia, and what they've basically found out that they're gonna need help. But here it is. They'll proclaim publicly that they're the most powerful nation on earth. If you're the most powerful nation on earth, why you need help from your allies? Okay, it's because that the Persian or Iranian people, or just the military itself, is a formidable force to be reckoned with. Okay, but anyways, without any further ado, let's play the clip again. Fair use, and I'm gonna let you see what's going on.
As gas prices climb across the country, President Trump pressured allies to help secure safe passage through the Strait of Hormuz, a key oil shipping choke point.
We strongly encourage other nations whose economies depend on the strait far more than ours.
Only about 7% of U.S. crude oil imports come through the strait, but countries in Asia rely much more on what's pumped out of the region. The president has asked several of them, plus European countries, to send warships or mine-sweeping vessels to help the U.S. Navy escort tankers through the strait.
Numerous countries have told me they're on the way. Some are very enthusiastic about it, and some aren't.
So far,
you gotta think too. A lot of Babylon's allies, all right, the other members of NATO, the alliance of NATO, basically, which NATO, it stands for North Atlantic Treaty Organization. But basically, the other members in NATO, they depend on oil and natural gas and other goods that come from that particular region, and have to travel by way of cargo ships through the Straits of Hormuz. But what happened is the Iranian people or government have continued to shut down the Straits of Hormuz. Thus, it's shut down to America's benefits, all right, or the beneficiary, not beneficiary, Shalakia, the American interests agenda that's over there, which is really the elite's agenda, agenda to steal resources from these different lands, but pretty much anything that's involving American interests and assets, they're basically blocking it from traveling through the Straits of Hormuz. Okay, and that's causing inflation to rise higher and higher. Right now, gas here in Indiana is almost $4. And in some places it's over for $4 because of premium, mid-grade and premium. So that's pretty fucking high. So gas has jumped up. Basically, this is before the war. It was the lowest was like $2.49 at a few places. So now it jumped from that to over $4. Okay, over $4 right now. So that's like $1.60, $1.70 jump since the war began. Okay, and it's only going to get worse because this economy is going to feel it. All right. Matter of fact, the world or the global economy, all right, is going to feel it, and they are feeling it because a lot of them don't have strategic reserves, and the Iranian people, they know that, which is intelligence. It's intelligent on their behalf, knowing the strategic way how to starve a country out or cause a country to collapse and lose morale is, to help crash the economy. So that's something to look forward to. The coming crash of this economy, which, is going to work right into the wicked, evil schemes of the elites because they want to chip everybody anyway. So it's, and they fund both sides of the war anyway, regardless. But, yeah, man, the MOTB system, all right, will be put online once this dollar crash, man. And we're on the verge of it, man. We're super close to it crashing. Okay, so bear with me 1 second. Here we go. So let's play a little more of the clip.
Aren't Spain, Italy, and Germany said they won't help.
We can't be at every place to support a war which we didn't start.
Trump took aim at those NATO allies.
Why are we protecting countries that don't protect us? And I've always felt that was a weakness of NATO. We were going to protect them, but I always said when in need, they won't protect us.
But top military leaders have warned the president Iran could attack ships escorting the tankers in the narrow strait. That's a concern for many allies who didn't support the U.S. decision to strike Iran.
While taking the necessary action to defend ourselves and our allies, we will not be drawn into the wider war.
Here at home, gas prices have climbed 23 cents in the last week. The president today tried calming consumer concerns.
When this is...
And, this dude is basically lashing out at his neighbors for doing stupid shit that he's done on behalf of these Amalekites, man. Okay? Which I believe he's an Amalekite as well. Okay? But the point is, you fucking entered into this war on behalf of the Amalekites, the least of the flock drawing them out. And now you're feeling the consequences. All right, you in them Amalekites of, basically, declaring war on Iran. All right, or Iran, how you want to pronounce it. All right, really, they Persian, all right, or the Persians. But you wage war on them, and they've been striking you back, and so much so that you're basically calling for or waving your white flag, man. Because you realize that basically this is for Donald Trump, which we believe there's Nero in the spirit. Hey, he basically committed political suicide by entering into a war with Iran. All right, because even the different military experts was, even the top economists, they were talking about how this is a lose-lose all the way around for America. But like I said, this dude, this dude Trump, man, he's written a check that his ass can't cash. Okay, they're talking about drafting, because why? They sending military personnel over there, and they're basically getting wiped out. Okay, they don't even want to report the different casualties. Oh, the Abraham Lincoln was struck. It was struck by multiple strikes today. They had to retreat from their region. And who's to say it would have returned back to America, which is Babylon, without sinking? That's something that I'm telling you in the news. Everybody know it. Everybody knows it. Okay. But anyways, let's continue. Let me get some precepts. This is the book of Jeremiah. And I'm start at verse 24. Jeremiah 50 and 24 says, I have laid a snare for thee, and thou art also taken, O Babylon, and thou wast not aware. Right, because the snare was what? You enter into a war with Iran, which again, like I just quoted Joel, the 2nd chapter, where the least of the flock would draw them out. Well, not Joel, Slakia. Joel, the 2nd chapter, where it speaks about the American army being removed. All right. The Lord said he would remove far off the northern army. And then Jeremiah 49 and 50 speaks about what? The least of the flock drawing them out. And that's the tiny tops. Those are Amalekites over there. Okay. They're the ones that drew out the American army into this war with Iran, which they said it won't end no time soon. It could be drawn out for years, they saying. Even though we know that, I don't even think that far ahead, years, Even though no man knows a day, time, or hour, only the Most High himself, Yahweh, kept it in his own power. He didn't disclose that to anyone. So we'll know when he's ready, when he act and cause everything to happen. But we watch closely, all right, for the prophecies to come to pass and manifest themselves. And that's how we know we're very close. It's through the Spirit, So we see the snare catching Babylon, all right? And ultimately, Babylon is going to be destroyed, man. Okay? It says, I have laid a snare for thee, and thou art also taken, O Babylon, and thou wast not aware. Thou art found and also caught, because thou hast striven against the Lord. Right? And this place has striven against the Lord in every way. Against the true images of the Heavenly Father and His Son, and also the Israelites, the true Israelites according to the Bible. All right, which we know we have people that are speckled birds, all right, because the scriptures speak about the speckled bird Israelites, which are among the heathen nations that look like the heathen nations, but their lineage, their blood or pedigree goes back to the house of Israel. All right, whether it be, from Judah on down, so-called Negro, Latino, Native American people, man. Okay? But this place has striven against the Lord, man. Even by even saying that you're a God for your people, and then you do everything in verse to to the scriptures, man. The Lord allowed you to do these things, man, and you've spoken none but blasphemies, man. Now the judgment has come upon you. Now you're you're losing it, man. Now you're calling your allies because you know that you're gonna need their help. You need all the help you can get, but you didn't consider, man. All right, and basically, what's going to ultimately happen is this. Well, you know what? I'll get that in a moment. Let me get this real quick, because ultimately your ally is going to turn on you. So I'm gonna get that, okay? And they're showing you. You heard those different prime ministers and different ranking officials in these different governments that are aligned with or within NATO They're telling you what the Germans say, hey, we're going to be drugged into a war that we didn't start, we didn't initiate, we didn't want to start. Because they realize that it's a war. It's going to be a long-standing war. And they don't see no good coming out of it. Because it ain't no good going to come out of it. Okay, this is World War III. Okay, that's taking place. It's not even fully on, but it's going to be fully on in a moment, man. When the Most High turned that dial, man. We just waiting on the MOTB to come to pass. Okay. And when that come to pass, things are going to speed up. All right, we believe things are going to speed up according to the scriptures, because it says for those days, or it says Salakia, except those days be shortened, there shall no flesh be left for the elect's sake. Those days shall be shortened. Roughly paraphrasing. Okay, but it says Jeremiah 51 and verse 12. It says, set up the standard upon the walls of Babylon, make the watch strong, set up the watchmen, prepare the ambushes. Right, the ambush is a trap or a snare. Okay, and what's that? When you look at what that is, and keep in mind, this Babylon is not talking about Babylon during the time of Nimrod. Also, Babylon, which is the Neo-Babylonian Empire. No, this is talking about Babylon the Great. Okay, which is what? America, because you look at how Babylon is going to be destroyed according to Isaiah 13. But real quick, Isaiah 13 says this. So I'm going to make a comparison real quick, right? Isaiah 13, and we read up, it says, verse 1, the bird of Babylon, which Isaiah the son of Amos did see. Okay? And jumping down to the point, verse 19, in Babylon, the glory of kingdoms, the beauty of the Chaldees' excellency, shall be as when the Most High overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. And we know that the Most High overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah and the other three cities by fire from heaven. And we understand and know that the fire of the Lord is going to rain on Babylon, or this Babylon, which is linked to what? Edom, Psalms 137. Okay, also the mystery Babylon, Babylon the Great. That's America, man. Or the daughter of Babylon. That's all America, referring to America. Syria, Egypt. All right. It says what? It says the beauty of the Chaldees' excellency shall be as when the Most High overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. And again, that was by fire. Okay. Because the Neo-Babylonian Empire landmass, which is Iraq, is inhabited. Okay. Because it says what? Going back to that same chapter of Isaiah 13 and verse 20, it says it shall never be inhabited, neither shall it be dwelt in from generation to generation. Right. Neither shall the Arabian pitch tent there, neither shall the shepherds make their fold there. Right. And again, it's not talking about ancient Neo-Babylonian landmass, which is, again, Iraq today. It says, I typed in on Google, what is Babylon called today? It says the ancient city of Babylon is located in modern day Iraq. See? There you go, man. I don't have to read no further. Okay? So, again, hey, the Babylon is talking about is America, not the ancient Babylon. All right, or ancient Babylon is plural because you have the woman Nimrod. Okay, but the Neo-Babylonian Empire, which is modern day Iraq, still exists, still being inhabited, though there was in the list of countries that Amalek attacked. Okay, let's go back to Jeremiah 51 in verse 12. It says, set up the standard upon the walls of Babylon, make the watch strong. Set up the watchmen, set up the watchmen, prepare the ambushes, which is, again, a trap. An ambush, you look it up, ambush, ambush is literally a trap. So to find it, it says, an ambush is a surprise attack, often military, where concealed forces lie in wait to attack an unsuspecting enemy, frequently to reduce their combat effectiveness. Okay? And this is going to happen, man. Like, the Lord's going to hit this place with plagues, man, left and right. He's going to wipe it off the face of the earth, especially that ultimate plague of the thermonuclear fire. But let's continue on. It says, For the Lord had both devised and done that which he spake against the inhabitants of Babylon. O thou that dwellest, verse 13, O thou that dwellest upon many waters, abundant in treasures, thine end is come, and the measure of thy covetousness. Right, because you think about Babylon, all right, it do sit upon many waters, as far as America. You look at the ancient Babylonian map, right? Let me see here. I was trying to type in. Let me see. Yeah. Okay. So we get a Middle East map. Let's look at this. See, Iraq, it got rivers that flow through it, right? But as far as sitting upon many waters, yeah, it has rivers, going through it, but not comparable to America. America is surrounded by water. Got the Atlantic Ocean, you got the Pacific Ocean, you got the Gulf. Got some land a little bit to the south, which is Mexico, but ultimately it's surrounded by water. And to the north of it is obviously, the country of Canada, but it sits upon many waters, man. Okay? And it's a country that depends on the water passages, to deliver its goods, man. Okay? Just like ancient Rome did. Okay? So back in Jeremiah 51 and verse 13, O thou that dwellest upon many waters, abundant in treasures, thine end is come, and the measure of thy covetousness. Yeah, man. The Lord's gonna destroy you, man. Okay, which is Babylon. Okay? You don't want to hear it, but it's the truth. Hey, the Lord is going to destroy this place. And that's a beautiful thing for us Israelites, man, because, well, in particular, those of us that believe, man, because this is what we hasten for. This is what we're looking forward to. The kingdom of heaven, where we're going to rule over the heathen nations, man, right? Along with Yahweh Shai being joint heirs to him. As far as the elect, and then the rest of, 1/3. But then, all Israel going to, the nation is going to rule over other nations, man. It's just going to be rank and file order. Okay? The elect is going to be the, cream of the crop, man, so to speak. Okay, Lord willing, I'm a part of the elect. But that's how it's going to be, man. Rank and file order. But like I said, this is a video that's, pretty much, working in our favor, because we're itching, waiting, and watching for the process to come to pass, and we see this Straits of Hormuz being closed, and the economy is taking a hit, and that's good because we're looking forward to the dollar crashing. We're looking forward to Revelation 3 and 10 coming to pass, the hour of temptation, because we know that we're that close to the kingdom. Okay, but let's get this Obadiah verse 7, because what you see in this video clip, this news clip I played, was America's allies basically turning on them. And that's exactly what's going to happen according to prophecy. Okay? Obadiah verse 7 says, all the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. Now, these people that were speaking in the video, in the news clip, they're Edomites too. But they're at odds right now. And they're in disagreement. And what the scriptures say about that, we can get that too. The book of Mark 3, about, what's that, 24. It says, and if a kingdom, Mark 3 and 24, and if a kingdom be divided against itself, that kingdom cannot stand. Right. And this is eventually how we fell as a nation. Once the split came, or the division came, it was only a matter of time before our nation fell apart. And that's what happened when you have a nation that's divided, or a kingdom that's divided. Verse 25, it says, and if a house be divided against itself, that house cannot stand. See? And in this house, which is the house of Esau, Edom, the wicked, is falling right apart before our very eyes. So we should be rejoicing. The scriptures speak about how happy, a man should be to see the fall of his enemy in Sirach, the 25th chapter. So you're supposed to be happy to see your enemies falling. You're supposed to rejoice, because that's a good sight for us, because it says that what 2 Ezra 6, Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. Well, shit, we're looking to rule, man. We're looking to rule. We're looking to fucking rule over our oppressors, man. And that's comforting to our spirits, because we know that after the age of Esau, because that's what it's going into, the age of Esau, after the age of Esau, the age of Jacob, which is going to be an everlasting age forever and ever, it ain't going to never end, it's going to be established, man. The throne of David, or the house of David, which is the elect under Yahushua and King David, okay, it's going to be established, man. And that's the governing elect body, man. Wherein we want to rule the earth in righteousness, man. That's something to look forward to. But anyways, let's continue. It says, verse 25, and if a house be divided against itself, the house cannot stand. And if Satan rise up against himself and be divided, he cannot stand, but hath an end. Right, and the people of Satan, all right, the people of Satan, which is the Edomites, okay, they rise up against each other. Okay, because why? They're falling out of power. And then you got to think about the way that the head, Edomite country, which is Babylon, how it treats his allies, the other Edomite counterparts of America. How they treat them? They treat them like shit. It says what? Whose look was more stout than his fellows? That's America, puffing at his allies, man. So-called friend. So-called friends, man. All right. But anyways, that's what's going on. So back in Obadiah 7, because ultimately what's going to do is cause them to hate the whore, which I'm going to get that in a minute. Okay, it's going to cause them to hate the whore, because they're showing the hatred right now by even saying these very words. They won't enter into the war on behalf of America. Obadiah verse 7, all the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. It says there is no understanding in him. See? And that's the different alliances, all right, that you're aligned to these different countries in. NATO, you have a lot of EU countries that's not in NATO, but they, align with NATO. They're removing their support with, from Babylon, because though they may have not been in NATO, they do business deals that put them in an alliance with each other. Okay. So it says, the men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee, and there is no understanding in him. Right, because ultimately, again, the Lord's going to cause them to fulfill his will. Let's get that and get out of here, because I don't want to hold you too long, but Lord, when are you being edified? Okay, Revelation 17. And going right to the point. Verse 16. It says, and the 10 horns, which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore. Those 10 horns go into what? The EU. All right, you have NATO and EU countries involved in it. Okay, which, again, some of those EU countries are part of NATO. Okay, but it says, in the 10 horns, which thou sawest, because the 10 horns go really into EU, the European Union. It says, these shall hate the whore and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. See? And what's going on right now, the 10 horns being stirred up, man, against the whore. You heard their speeches when I played the news clip. They're not standing with Babylon, you know. They usually would stand together. They would send out aid immediately. But it's not so anymore. Okay? They're going to fulfill the will of the Lord. Okay? They're going to burn her with fire, and that's it, man. Verse 17. For the Most High had to put in their hearts, which is their minds, because it says what? Proverbs 21, that the king's heart is in the hand of the Lord. And he turned it whithersoever he will. Right? For the Most High had put in their hearts to fulfill his will and to agree and give their kingdom unto the beast, until the words of the Most High shall be fulfilled. See? And that's ultimately what's going to take place, man. And this is brewing before our very eyes. So we should be hastening and praising Yahweh Bashem Yahushua for that. Okay? Because we're that close, man. We're at the doors, man. So stay strong, Akim, and you feel Akwaf. You know, Lord willing, we out here soon. With that, I want to give all honor, glory, and praises to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakahakodash. Again, double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, rule and teach well. Shalom to you fellow laborers out there doing the work in truth and sincerity, especially during these times. Shalom to you, Akwaf, Abba Ball, Kwame Allah, Shalom.